Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the world of a creature you probably think you know pretty well, the chicken.
Yes, the humble chicken.
But, there's more to these birds than meets the eye.
Oh, absolutely. Behind that familiar, feathery exterior is a fascinating story of evolution, adaptation, and some surprising intelligence.
Yeah, we'll be exploring how they went from jungle fowl to, well, the global poultry superstar that they are today.
Exactly, and we'll uncover some of their often underestimated intelligence and even delve into their unique approaches to reproduction.
Right. Like, who knew there was so much to learn about chicken mating rituals?
Well, you might be surprised, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start at the beginning. Where did these feathered friends even come from?
Yeah, good point. So take us back to the chicken's origins.
Okay, so picture the steamy jungles of Southeast Asia about 8,000 years ago. That's where we find the ancestor of all chickens, the red jungle fowl.
The red jungle fowl, huh?
Yes. And it was around this time that this wild bird crossed paths with humans, and a unique partnership began.
So it wasn't like a case of humans just capturing and caging these birds.
No, no, not at all. It was more of a mutualistic relationship, you could say.
Mutualistic.
Yeah, like a two-way street. Chickens benefited from the food and protection humans offered, and humans in turn gained a reliable source of, well, protein and eggs.
Ah, I see. So it was like a win-win situation for both sides.
Exactly. And this partnership ultimately led to the chickens' global domination. They're everywhere.
Talk about a success story.
It really is. But it wasn't just about survival. This partnership also led to, well, an incredible diversity of chicken
Oh,
breeds.
yeah, the variety is pretty mind-boggling.
It is. Through selective breeding, we've seen the emergence of chickens with a truly remarkable range of sizes, appearances, and even behaviors.
Like you've got the Brahma chicken, right?
Yeah.
Which can be, what, like over a meter tall?
That's right. They can reach a towering height of 1.2 meters. And then you have the tiny Sarama chicken from Malaysia. It's so small it could practically perch in your palm.
It's amazing to think they all came from that same wild ancestor, the red jungle fowl. And speaking of amazing, didn't he use chickens to help develop his theory of evolution?
He did. Darwin was absolutely captivated by the variation he observed in domesticated animals, particularly pigeons and chickens.
So he was looking at how humans could intentionally select for certain traits in these animals.
Yeah, and how these traits could change dramatically over generations. And by observing this, he started to theorize that a similar process, what we call natural selection, was happening in the wild, just over much, much longer timescales.
So those variations in chickens, like the different sizes and colors, it helped Darwin understand how natural selection could drive the evolution of, well, all species, not just chickens.
Precisely. It's a pretty significant contribution to science, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. It's a big feather in the chicken's cap, so to speak. But beyond their evolutionary journey, what else makes them such successful survivors?
That's where their adaptability comes in and dare I say their feistiness?
Feistiness. Chickens.
Oh yeah, they're far tougher and more resourceful than we give them credit for. I mean, there are countless documented cases of them defending themselves and their young from predators, even eagles.
I've seen those videos of hens like facing off against hawks and snakes. They're fearless when it comes to protecting their chicks. But beyond their fighting spirit, what else helps them adapt? Like, what about their diet? I always picture them pecking at seeds and bugs.
Well, seeds and insects are definitely on the menu, but chickens are they're opportunistic omnivores.
Opportunistic.
It means they're not picky eaters. They'll eat pretty much anything they can find. Their diet can include snakes, lizards, and even rats.
Wow, that's a pretty varied palate for a bird that's often seen as, just pecking at the ground.
It is, and this varied diet plays a key role in their ability to thrive in a range of environments.
Makes sense. But I'm curious about their intelligence. Are they really just driven by instinct, or is there something more going on in those tiny chicken brains?
That's the question that continues to challenge our assumptions about animal intelligence. Recent research suggests that chickens are capable of learning, problem solving, and even displaying what some might call musical talent.
Wait, musical talent, as in like chickens playing instruments.
Well, there's a documented case of a chicken that was trained to play a tune on a keyboard.
A chicken playing the keyboard. Seriously.
Yeah, by pecking illuminated keys in a specific sequence, it suggests an ability to understand patterns and follow instructions. Pretty impressive for a creature we often dismiss as, bird-brained. Right?
That's incredible. It seems like we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of what chickens are actually capable of.
Exactly. And the more we learn, the more we realize just how much intelligence is packed into those
Hmm.
tiny feathery heads. For example, there's evidence that chickens can recognize individual faces,
Well,
both human and chicken.
so much for that blank stare I always get from chickens.
But how does facial recognition help them in the wild?
It's crucial for their complex social interactions. Remember, these are birds that live in flocks with intricate pecking orders and social hierarchies.
Right, right. So being able to recognize individuals would help them navigate those social structures.
Exactly. It helps them build relationships, avoid conflicts, and maintain their social standing within the flock.
So it's not just about knowing who's who, it's about understanding their place in the pecking order and behaving accordingly.
Precisely. It's all about survival and thriving in a complex social environment. And it's just one example of how chickens use their intelligence to adapt and succeed. Well, I'm definitely starting to see chickens in a whole new light. But uh, what about let's say, their romantic side? How does all that intelligence factor into their mating rituals and reproductive strategies?
Ah, that's where things get really interesting. You might be surprised to learn that chickens share some intriguing similarities with ostriches when it comes to mating and reproduction.
Chickens and ostriches, those seem like completely different birds. What could they possibly have in common when it comes to, romance?
Well, remember how we talked about ostriches and their elaborate courtship chases? The female leads the male on a long run before accepting him as a mate. It's almost like a test of his fitness and endurance.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. It was like a feathery version of The Bachelor, but with way more running involved. Are you saying chickens do something similar?
In a way, yes. While chickens might not have the stamina for a marathon chase like ostriches, they still exhibit a similar dynamic where the female leads and the male pursues. It suggests that females might be assessing the male's physical condition, their eagerness, before committing to a mate.
So even in the chicken world, it's not just about looks. It's about proving your worthiness. But what happens after the chase? Let's talk about eggs. I mean, chickens are basically synonymous with egg laying. What's going on with their reproductive strategies?
Well, the egg-laying logic of chickens is both fascinating and, well, a little bit strange. It involves a mix of instinct, strategy, and a whole lot of decision-making when it comes to those eggs.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this egg laying logic. What makes it so unusual?
Well, for starters, chickens have a strong preference for laying their eggs in nests that already contain eggs. In fact, they'll
Right.
even steal eggs from other hens to build up their own clutch.
Wait, they steal eggs. That's kind of ruthless. Why would they do that?
It's not entirely clear, but scientists believe it could be related to a couple of things. First, a nest with more eggs might signal to the hen that it's a safe and desirable location for laying. Second, a larger clutch of eggs could offer better protection from predators. There are more targets to distract potential threats.
That makes sense. It's like a feathery version of safety in numbers.
Mm.
But what about the actual process of incubation? Don't they have to sit on the eggs to keep them warm?
Yes, but there's an interesting trigger involved called broodiness. Hens don't start incubating right away. They prefer to accumulate a certain number of eggs before settling down to sit on them. This ensures a higher chance of hatching a larger, healthier brood.
So it's not just about laying the eggs. It's about timing the incubation for the best possible outcome. But how does that work for chickens raised on farms? Aren't they constantly laying eggs?
That's where human intervention comes into play. Farmers have learned to exploit this broodiness trigger by constantly removing eggs from the hen houses.
Why would they do that? Doesn't that stress the hens out?
It does, but it also keeps them in a perpetual state of laying. By removing the eggs, the hens never reach that clutch complete signal that triggers broodiness. So they keep laying in an attempt to build up their nest.
Wow, that's a clever strategy for maximizing egg production. But I can't help but feel a little bad for the hens who are constantly tricked into laying more and more eggs.
It's a classic example of how human intervention can significantly alter natural animal behaviors, often for our own benefit. But remember that story you mentioned earlier about the free range hen who outsmarted the system.
Oh yeah. Tell me about that resourceful hen. I'm guessing she found a way to have her chicks, Andy, defy the egg collecting farmers.
She did. This particular hen, living in a free range environment, decided to take matters into her own wings. She hid her nest so well that the farmers couldn't find them. She accumulated her clutches in secret and successfully hatched multiple broods of chicks, escaping the constant egg removal that her farmed counterparts experienced.
That's incredible. It just goes to show the adaptability and resourcefulness of chickens, even in the face of human interference.
Right.
But speaking of strange chicken behavior, what about that weird thing where you can supposedly hypnotize a chicken with a drawn line? Is that real, or is it just an internet myth?
The hypnotized chicken phenomenon. It's one of those viral internet trends that has sparked both amusement and debate. But the truth behind it is more about a natural fear response than any mystical mind control.
Okay, I knew there had to be a scientific explanation. So what's really going on when a chicken seemingly freezes at the sight of a line?
It's a phenomenon called tonic immobility or playing dead, and it's triggered by a restraint or perceived threat. When a chicken feels trapped or endangered, it can enter this trance-like state where it becomes immobile and unresponsive.
So it's not the line itself that's hypnotizing them. It's the feeling of being held down or restrained that triggers this response.
Exactly. The line is just a visual focal point that can help induce the immobility, but other methods like gently holding the chicken's head under its wing or even striking its feathers can have the same effect.
That's fascinating. It's like their brain is saying, "Okay, I'm caught. Time to play dead and hope this predator loses interest." But isn't that a risky strategy? Wouldn't it make them more vulnerable?
It can be, but in some cases it might be the best option for survival. If a predator thinks its prey is already dead, it might relax its grip or move on to a more lively target.
So it's a gamble, but one that could pay off in certain situations. Is this playing dead response, is it unique to chickens?
Not at all. It's observed in a wide range of animals, from lizards and frogs to rabbits and even sharks.
Sharks playing dead. That's hard to imagine. But it makes sense that a survival strategy like this would evolve across different species. But if it's so widespread, why does it seem like chickens are the poster child for tonic immobility?
Perhaps because they're so readily accessible and their response is easily elicited. They've become the unwitting stars of countless internet videos demonstrating this phenomenon, solidifying their association with hypnosis in popular culture.
So the next time I see one of those hypnotized chicken videos, I'll know it's not about mind control, but rather an ancient survival strategy playing out in a modern internet fueled context.
Precisely. It's a reminder that even seemingly simple behaviors can have complex evolutionary roots and serve important purposes in the animal kingdom.
This deep dive into the world of chickens is already eye-opening. I never would guess they were so intelligent, adaptable, and even a little bit cunning. From their evolution alongside humans to their surprising cognitive abilities, it's clear that there's so much more to these birds than meets the eye. But of course, we can't talk about chickens without addressing the age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The classic dilemma. It's a question that forces us to consider the very nature of origins, causality, and the essence of evolution. And while it might seem like a lighthearted paradox, it actually touches upon some profound scientific concepts.
Okay, I'm ready to tackle this philosophical poultry puzzle. So from an evolutionary perspective, which came first, the chicken or the egg. I'm guessing you have some insights that go beyond the usual it's a paradox
Yeah.
answer.
Well, to approach this question scientifically, we need to think about the process of evolution and how new species emerge. Remember how we discussed Darwin's theory of natural selection? It's all about gradual changes over time, driven by genetic mutations and the survival of the fittest.
Right. So we're not talking about a sudden poof, a chicken appeared
Yeah.
scenario. It was a gradual process, right?
Exactly. So imagine a population of ancient birds that were very similar to chickens, but not quite chickens yet. We can call them proto-chickens. Now, within this population, random genetic mutations were constantly occurring. Most mutations had no effect or were harmful, but occasionally a mutation would arise that gave an individual a slight advantage.
Okay, I'm following. So we have these proto chickens slowly evolving with mutations popping up here and there. But how does that lead us to the chicken or the egg conundrum?
Well, imagine that a specific mutation occurred in the reproductive cells of one of these proto-chickens. This mutation led to a subtle change in the egg's um, composition or development, resulting in an egg that was slightly different from the eggs laid by other proto-chickens.
Okay, so we have a special mutated egg, but is this the first chicken egg?
It could be if that and carrying the crucial mutation hatched into an individual that possessed all the defining characteristics of a true chicken, then we can argue that this was indeed the first chicken egg.
So the egg came before the chicken.
In this scenario, yes, the genetic change that defined the chicken species would have occurred in the egg before the first true chicken hatched.
That's a pretty convincing argument, but wouldn't the proto chicken that laid that special egg also have had the mutation?
That's where it gets tricky. Remember that the mutations often arise in specific cells or tissues. It's possible that the mutation occurred only in the reproductive cells of the proto chicken, meaning that while it carried the potential for producing a chicken egg, it itself wasn't technically a chicken yet.
So it was a chicken in the making, but its offspring was the one who crossed the evolutionary finish line. That's fascinating. It's like the parent was a stepping stone to a whole new species.
It's a reminder that evolution is a continuous process with blurry boundaries between one generation and the next. There's no single moment where one species magically transforms into another. It's a gradual accumulation of changes over time.
This is incredible. We started with chickens and eggs, and now we're talking about the origins of life itself. It just shows how interconnected everything is in the natural world.
It's a beautiful tapestry of interconnectedness, where seemingly simple questions can lead us down paths of profound scientific inquiry. But to really understand the chicken and egg dilemma, we need to go even deeper to the very building blocks of life itself.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break down this building blocks of life thing for me. How does it relate to the chicken and the egg?
Well, at the heart of the chicken or the egg question lies a deeper biological puzzle. Which came first, proteins or genetic material?
Hold on, proteins and genetic material. I'm getting flashbacks to high school biology class. And remind me what's so important about these two things.
Okay, so proteins are the workhorses of our cells. They carry out a vast array of functions that are essential for life. And genetic material in the form of DNA and RNA carries the instructions for building and maintaining those proteins.
Right, right. So they're both crucial for life as we know it. But how do they relate to the chicken or the egg dilemma?
It's a bit of a paradox because proteins are needed to create and replicate DNA, but the DNA is needed to provide the instructions for building proteins. So which came first? It's a bit like asking which came first, the blueprint or the builder.
Whoa, that's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
It's like a biological catch-22. So how do scientists even begin to unravel this puzzle? Do they have any theories about which came first?
There are several hypotheses, and the scientific community is still actively debating and researching this fundamental question. One leading theory suggests that RNA, a simpler molecule than DNA, might have played a crucial role in the early evolution of life.
Okay, RNA. I remember that being mentioned in biology class. But it was always overshadowed by DNA. What makes RNA so special in this origin of life scenario?
RNA has the unique ability to act as both a carrier of genetic information, AND, a catalytic enzyme. This means that it could have potentially replicated itself and performed basic biological functions without the need for complex proteins.
So RNA was like a multitasking superstar in the early days of life. It could do it all.
Exactly. It's like a self-replicating blueprint that could also do some of the building itself. This RNA world hypothesis, as it's called, suggests that RNA might have been the precursor to both DNA and proteins, eventually giving rise to the more complex life forms we see today.
Okay, that's blowing my mind a little bit. So this RNA world idea suggests that RNA might hold the key to understanding the very origins of life itself.
It's one of the most compelling theories we have right now. It helps to explain how the building blocks of life could have emerged from a simpler prebiotic world. But of course, there's still much more research to be done to fully understand the complexities of early life.
This has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive so far,
Hmm.
from chicken evolution to the chicken or the egg mystery. We've uncovered so much about these seemingly ordinary birds. But before we wrap up this part of our exploration, I have one more question about RNA. We've talked about its role in the early evolution of life, but what about its function in modern organisms? What does RNA do in say a chicken?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
While DNA gets most of the glory, RNA plays a vital role in a wide range of cellular processes in modern organisms, including chickens.
So RNA isn't just a relic of the past. It's still a key player in the present.
Absolutely. And in fact, there are several different types of RNA, each with its own specific function. We already touched on messenger RNA, mRNA, which carries genetic information from DNA to the ribosomes where proteins are made.
Right. mRNA is like the courier delivering the blueprints for protein construction.
Exactly. But there's also transfer RNA, tRNA, which helps assemble the amino acids that make up proteins, and ribosomal RNA or RNA, which forms a structural part of the ribosomes themselves. And then there are other types of RNA involved in regulating gene expression and other cellular processes.
Wow, RNA is like a whole team of specialists, each with its own crucial role to play.
Precisely. And in chickens, just like in all other living organisms, this RNA team is constantly at work ensuring the smooth functioning of their cells and ultimately their survival.
It's amazing to think that these tiny molecules are so essential to life. And it's a great reminder that even within a single organism, there's a whole universe of complexity waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. And as we continue to explore the fascinating world of chickens, we'll see just how interconnected these molecular processes are with their behaviors, adaptations, and even their evolutionary journey.
Well, this deep dive has been a wild ride so far, filled with unexpected twists and turns. Who knew that chickens could be such a gateway to exploring evolution, animal behavior, and even the fundamental mysteries of life itself?
It just goes to show that there's a universe of knowledge hidden within the most ordinary things, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to ask why.
I'm already eager to embark on the next part of our chicken adventure. But for now, let's take a break and let all this amazing information sink in.
It's remarkable how much we can learn about life's complexity just by studying a seemingly ordinary creature like the chicken.
I know, right? Just goes the idea that there's always more than meets the eye, no matter what you're looking at. But let's shift gears a bit. We've talked a lot about the how of chicken evolution and behavior, but I'm curious about the why. Why did chickens evolve these specific traits? What evolutionary advantages do they offer?
That's a great question. And to answer it, we need to consider the environment in which chickens evolved and the challenges they face. Remember, their wild ancestor, the red jungle fowl, lived in the dense competitive forests of Southeast Asia.
So we're talking about a world filled with predators, limited resources, and a constant struggle for survival.
Exactly. In such an environment, certain traits would been more advantageous than others. Take, for instance, their diverse diet. Being able to eat a wide variety of foods from seeds and insects to small animals would been crucial for survival, especially during times of scarcity.
It's like having a backup plan for your backup plan when it comes to finding food.
Precisely. And then there's their social intelligence. Living in flocks with their complex pecking orders and social dynamics would have required a certain level of cognitive sophistication.
Right. They need to remember who's who, understand social cues, and navigate those hierarchies.
Exactly. And their ability to recognize individual faces, both human and chicken, would have played a crucial role in this. It allowed them to build relationships, avoid conflict, and maintain their social standing within the flock.
So their social smarts weren't just about getting along. They were about survival.
Absolutely. And then their reproductive strategies. Remember how we discussed their preference for laying eggs in nests that already contain eggs. This seemingly odd behavior might have actually served as a form of protection in the wild.
Right. More eggs in a nest meant more targets for potential predators, making it less likely that their own eggs would be targeted.
Exactly. And their broodiness trigger, the tendency to accumulate a clutch of eggs before incubating, would have ensured a higher chance of hatching a larger, healthier brood.
It's fascinating how behaviors that seem strange or random to us actually have a deeper evolutionary purpose.
It really highlights the power of natural selection. Over generations, the chickens that possessed these advantageous traits were more likely to survive and pass those traits on to their offspring.
So in a way, chickens are like tiny feathered survival machines, perfectly adapted to their environment.
In many ways, yes. Their behaviors, physical characteristics, and even their cognitive abilities have all been shaped by the relentless pressures of natural selection.
But of course, no discussion of chicken evolution would be complete without mentioning their unique relationship with humans.
Yeah.
How has domestication influenced their evolutionary trajectory?
That's a fascinating aspect of their story. Domestication has undoubtedly had a profound impact on chicken evolution, both in terms of their physical traits and their behaviors.
Well, we've already talked about the incredible diversity of chicken breeds that have emerged through selective breeding. But what about their behavior? How have they adapted to life alongside humans?
One of the most notable changes is their reduced fear of humans. Unlike their wild ancestors, domesticated chickens are generally quite comfortable around people, even seeking them out for food and protection.
That makes sense. After all, they've been relying on humans for food and shelter for thousands of years. But has this reduced fear come at a cost? Have they lost some of their wild instincts?
That's an interesting question, and it's something that researchers are still studying. While domesticated chickens may not be as wary of predators as their wild counterparts, they still retain many of their survival instincts. Remember that resourceful free range hen who outsmarted the system by hiding her nests.
Oh yeah, that clever girl. She proved that even domesticated chickens haven't completely lost their wild ways.
Exactly. It's a reminder that domestication doesn't erase millions of years of evolution overnight. Even chickens that have been bred for docility and egg production still possess a deep-seated drive for survival and reproduction.
It seems like chickens have managed to strike a delicate balance between adapting to life with humans while still holding on to their wild instincts.
It's a testament to their adaptability and resilience. They've managed to thrive in a human-dominated world while still retaining many of the traits that allowed them to survive in the wild.
This deep dive into the world of chickens continues to be fascinating. It seems like every time we peel back a layer, we uncover even more complexity and intrigue.
And we haven't even touched on the philosophical implications of the chicken or the egg dilemma, or the ongoing debate about the origins of life.
You're right. We still have so much more to explore. But before we delve into those deeper questions, let's take a moment to recap what we've learned so far.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground already. We've traced the chicken's journey from its wild ancestor to its global domination.
Mm-hmm.
We've explored their often underestimated intelligence and their remarkable adaptations for survival. But I think it's time to tackle that age-old question that's been plaguing philosophers and scientists for centuries. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yes. The classic chicken and egg dilemma.
Right.
A question that, well, it really takes us to the heart of evolutionary biology, forces us to think about how new species arise, the role of genetic mutations, and the blurred lines between one generation and the next.
It's not as simple as just choosing a side, is it?
No, not at all. There's a lot more nuance to unravel here.
So how do we approach this question from a scientific perspective?
Well, let's go back to our proto-chickens.
Proto-chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those ancient ancestors that were on the cusp of becoming true chickens.
Right.
Remember that evolution is driven by random genetic mutations.
Yeah.
Most of these mutations are neutral or even harmful. But occasionally a mutation arises that gives an individual a slight advantage, making it more likely to survive and reproduce.
So we have these proto-chickens evolving gradually with mutations popping up over generations. But how does that lead us to the chicken or the egg dilemma?
Well, imagine a specific mutation that occurs in the reproductive cells of one of these proto-chickens. This mutation leads to a change in the egg itself.
In the egg?
Yeah, maybe in its shell, its yolk, or even the developmental process of the embryo inside.
Okay.
So we have a special mutated egg, but is this the first chicken egg?
Is it?
It could be. If that egg hatches and the chicken side possesses all the defining characteristics of a true chicken, then we could argue that this mutated egg was indeed the first chicken egg.
So the egg came before the chicken?
In this scenario, yes. The genetic change that defines the chicken happened in the egg before the actual chicken existed.
But wouldn't the proto-chicken that laid this special egg also have had the mutation?
That's a great question, and it highlights the complexity of this dilemma. It's possible that the mutation occurred only in the reproductive cells of the proto-chicken.
Oh,
this means the proto-chicken itself wasn't technically a chicken, but it carried the potential to produce a chicken egg.
So it was like a chicken in the making.
You could say that, yeah.
But its offspring was the one that really crossed that evolutionary finish line.
Exactly. And it really underscores the fact that evolution isn't about sudden transformations. It's a gradual process with blurry lines between one generation and the next.
Yeah.
There's no single moment where one species magically transforms into another. It's a gradual accumulation of changes over time.
This is mind-blowing. We started with a seemingly simple question about chickens and eggs, and now we're delving into the very nature of evolution itself.
It's truly remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a testament to the interconnectedness of the natural world. Seemingly simple questions can often lead us down paths of profound scientific inquiry, and the chicken or the egg dilemma is a perfect example of this.
It really makes you appreciate the power of curiosity and the importance of never stopping asking why.
Well, this deep dive into the world of chickens has been a truly incredible journey.
It has.
We've learned so much about their evolution, their behavior, and their remarkable adaptations for survival. And who knows what other mysteries await us as we continue to explore the fascinating world of chickens and the countless other creatures that share our planet. So until our next deep dive, keep those questions coming. Stay curious and never stop exploring the wonders that surround us.
Well said.